Welcome, everyone. My name is Fred Laforge. I'm the co-founder and CEO of the Farmer's Truck. Farmer's Truck is a social enterprise with a bold vision: fresh, accessible food in every community. We started out of a small farm in the Maritime in Canada with my partner Mathieu at the time, which was trying to find a way to get his product to market. It's difficult to get into the farmers market. There's a lot of people already on a wait list, and trying to get into the big box store was difficult as a small producer. So we came up with the next best thing, which was a mobile farmers market. First thing we said is let's put together a truck. Let's imagine what this could look like. And we had this idea to take an old step van and start modifying it ourselves. First, we busted a wall on the side, tried to create this big display, and created some shelving outside. And this is what it looked like when we were on our first day to market. It had to be red, as you can see. Spent a lot of time wrapping this truck. A bit of a pain in the butt, to be honest, with all these rivets, but it was worth it. It had to be red. That's the brand. Had to go. And this is what it looked like when we were parked on the side of the road. We put a lot of emphasis on creating beautiful display that pulls you in, that gives you an envy for cooking something at home or, bring up. We eat with our eyes, so it's very important. So Farmers Truck started in 2015 as our own mobile farmers market. And we've learned a lot through the years, and we now empower others to do the same. First, we designed a mobile market truck, which is now the most popular mobile market truck in North America, collectively serving around 25,000 families every week. And on this side, you can see a little bit of our trucks and design that we offer. Here's some pictures of people using our trucks, and they love the truck. It creates a beautiful experience. It invites the crowd in. It becomes a crucial part of their program, and some of them even give them names. So it's beautiful to see how people use these trucks. So let's jump into our topic: accessing HFFI funding, insights from the Farmers Truck, and the National Grocers Association Foundation. So I'd like to introduce our guests. We have Sarah and we have Gabby, who works for the foundation. Maybe you guys can give us a quick intro.
Yeah.
Gabby, yeah.
Hi, thank you so much for having us. So I'm Gabby Rumney with the NGA Foundation, and we're here to share how our team can support retailers, especially those working to participate in or strengthen government nutrition programs like HFFI and nutrition incentives. So my role at NGAF is focused on managing outreach and communication for the foundation to help retailers connect to the right resources, which is why I'm excited to be here today talking with you all. Our goal today is pretty simple: to make sure you know what free support is available to you. No matter your business model or membership status, you do not need to be an NGA member to work with us. All of our services are completely free. And I'm joined with my colleague Sarah, who I will let introduce herself.
Yeah, thanks, Gabby. I'm Sarah. I'm the foundation coordinator. I provide support across our three grants at the foundation, two of which we're going to be going in a bit in depth today. And I also help support our student programs, which include our scholarships, as well as just general administrative support. Our colleague Brielle is also going to be joining towards the end of the call, and we're also joined by Coffee from the Reinvestment Fund. Feel free to introduce yourself as well, Coffee, but also no pressure.
Yeah, I will just quickly say hello. Hi, everyone. I'm Coffee King. I'm a program manager at Reinvestment Fund and primarily manage the Healthy Food Financing, or HFFI program, that you'll be hearing more about today. So great to be here and happy to answer any questions and support you all at the end.
Awesome. And I did forget to mention that we are a proud member of the NGA, so it's supporting the association and the people we work with. All right, so let's dive into it. So tell me a bit of difference between the foundation and the actual association. And I think
Mhm.
Gabby, you're picking that up.
Yeah, so the National Grocers Association, or NGA, represents independent community grocers across the country, and the NGA Foundation is the nonprofit arm of the National Grocers Association, and that is where all of this grant work sits, and I'll go into more depth in the next slides about that. So an independent grocery store is a privately owned or controlled food retail company which operates in a variety of formats. So most independent operators are serviced by wholesale distributors, while others may be partially or fully self-distributing. And independent grocers play such a key role in ensuring their communities can access affordable, nutritious food. And our mission is to help keep them doing that successfully, even as technology and policy change. As you can see on this slide, we have over 1,800 retailer member companies, and we also represent wholesalers and suppliers who service them. And we also have associate members, which is where the farmer's truck fits in there to our NGA membership. And NGA members operate nearly 9,000 stores, and independents make up a significant portion of the US economy, accounting for 33% of all US grocery sales. Can go to the next slide. So our mission is to support the future of independent community grocers. That means helping stores with workforce development, retention, and training, and increasingly with technical assistance to navigate the government food access programs that are offered. Um, so these are the
Oh,
pillars of the foundation. So we have industry promotion, student programs, which Sarah talked a little bit about, leadership development, and then for the purposes of the webinar today, we'll be focusing on the technical assistance pillar. So our technical assistance work centers around 5 key areas. For the webinar, we are going to be focusing on HFFI, so that fundraising to increase food access, and then also nutrition incentives, because we thought that would be an interesting topic for this group of folks. But we also do some SNAP EBT modernization work, which we're happy to talk more about. If you are interested, feel free to reach out. But I'll just give a high-level overview of each of these programs. So
and-
nutrition. Oh, go ahead.
Gabby, real quick, if anybody has any questions, please use the Q&A function at the bottom, and at the end, we're leaving some time to answer. So throughout the whole presentation, please feel free to ask some questions.
Yeah, we definitely want this to feel interactive and to get your questions answered, and we have plenty of time for that at the end. So nutrition incentives, or commonly known as double up food bucks, help grocers boost produce sales and make healthy food affordable to SNAP customers. Then we've got the Fair Fund, which is the funding opportunity, which we'll talk more in depth about for retailers in underserved areas. And then Snap Online is helping retailers set up e-commerce to accept SNAP benefits. Then we have EBT chip cards. So this is an effort to move EBT cards from having only a magnetic stripe on their card to also having a chip. We're preparing grocers for the eventual nationwide rollout. California has been the first state to go, and other states will follow suit. And as you may know, SNAP cards can be used in any state, so grocers and retailers may start to see these cards popping up. And this is all in an effort to make EBT payments more secure against fraud. And then EBT via mobile payments. Some states are choosing to pilot using a mobile device to house an EBT card to make a SNAP payment. And essentially, these 3 programs that I just touched on are working to catch up EBT payment technology and ensure payment parity for SNAP customers. And I'll just add, we provide technical assistance and support for all of these programs, and it's free. And all of our goal is to simplify these somewhat complex programs. And we'll be focusing on Fair Fund and the nutrition incentives for this webinar. So now I'll pass it off to Sarah to discuss more about our nutrition incentive work.
Yeah, thanks. So, as Gabby mentioned, I'm going to be talking about nutrition incentives, which fall under our GusNet program. And before I go into the technicalities of the program and the process of applying, I just wanted to start by talking about why retailers are generally interested in this program. So to start, the main point of nutrition incentives is basically to increase produce sales, which will of course increase overall sales, provide some extra revenue to grocers or other retailers. Secondly, the main point of increasing these produce sales is to allow your customers to improve their health and hopefully reduce the cost of healthcare by addressing health concerns by treating them in a diet-based manner. And so it really allows you to connect more with your surrounding communities and really just have a stronger impact on their health and well-being. Finally, a lot of retailers have noted that this program really helps to provide them with a more loyal customer base because a lot of times you're offering these nutrition incentives, which a lot of retailers in your surrounding area may not offer. It really provides a point of differentiation and just an incentive to continue returning to your specific retail site. And next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, so the program itself, GUSNIP is the Gus Schumacher Nutrition Incentive Program. And this is a grant program offered through the USDA. It gives out $250 million in programs throughout nearly all states and territories in the US. The programs themselves are focused at improving access to and the consumption of healthy foods, specifically among low-income individuals or families or individuals who are receiving SNAP benefits. So two of the most common examples of nutrition incentive programs would be produce prescriptions, where individuals who have certain health conditions that could be treated through diet change, they can get prescription cards, which they can then redeem at retailers, and it'll allow them to get free produce. Another nutrition incentive program that's very common, it has different names, but it's sometimes the Double Up Food Bucks or Health Bucks, where basically you can spend any amount of SNAP dollars on produce and you'll get that same amount back to purchase more produce. So maybe you spent $2 on apples, you'll get $2 back that you can purchase any other produce from. And this is just really meant to offer a form of incentive to increase the amount of fresh food, of produce that families who are already using food aid, just really meant to increase the amount of produce that they're able to access. So Gabby, oh, sorry, actually, if you could stay on that slide for one more second. Thank you. Gabby's going to go in depth a little bit later into the exact flow of funding, but just to provide a high-level overview, basically with GUSNIP, the USDA provides money to nonprofits who are GUSNIP awardees, and then these nonprofits are in charge of providing funding directly to stores or retailers to actually operate the programs. So we just want to provide a note here for any nonprofits who are interested in this program. One note is that for any amount of funding that you're receiving from the government, you will have to find a match of funding, either through state or local funds, private sector contributions, donations from other charitable organizations, etc. But just for every amount of money that you get from the federal government, you will have to provide a match for that. And then just an overview on the goals of the program. So as I mentioned, the main goals are just to increase the amount of produce that is purchased and the amount that is consumed by households, specifically households that are already relying on food aid such as SNAP. And the overall goal is that by increasing the amount of produce in their diets, they will have improvements in their own health, their personal health, and their family's health, which will then allow them to spend less money on healthcare and other costs. So it's a very holistic approach to health, really working to use a diet-centered approach to healthcare and just reducing the amount of stress that families feel in trying to provide healthy meals to themselves and their families.
And I believe like it's over 90% of Americans do not consume enough fruits and vegetables every day, right? They don't meet their daily intake of fruits and vegetables. There's a huge upside to the healthcare and the diet and the well-being of everyone if they eat a little bit more.
So yeah, we're a big resource for nutrition incentives. Our team provides no-cost technical and program assistance to food retailers, and then the grant partner, the grantee organization that houses the funds. So we're that connection point between the grantee and the retailer, and then the technology provider who helps facilitate the successful function of the nutrition incentive at the point of sale. So we serve as that matchmaker to help ensure that everything runs smoothly between the necessary parties. We also assist with program design by identifying the best method for which to carry out the incentives so that it works for all parties and ensures the most effective possibilities for marketing and operating the program. You can go to the next slide. So the flow of funding is illustrated here. So it starts with USDA NIFA, which is the National Institute of Food and Agriculture. They award the GusNIP funds to the designated grantee organizations. These can be nonprofits, universities, or other entities that manage and distribute the funds according to the program's guidelines. And then from the grantee organization, they partner with a grocery store or retailer. The grantee allocates the funds to those participating grocery stores, farmers markets, or other retail outlets. And these funds are used to support the implementation of the nutrition incentive program, which encourages that purchase of fresh produce by providing the incentive. And then at the grocery store or market, customers who use SNAP benefits benefit from the incentive. So for like a double up food buck program, which is probably the most common, customers receive additional funds or discounts for purchasing fruits and vegetables. And this encourages the healthier eating habits and increases the affordability of fresh produce. This program is really wonderful because it ensures that the financial support from the USDA NIFA reaches the consumer in a way that directly benefits their access to nutritious food, but it also supports local markets and communities by, um, increasing the revenue of produce sales. You can go to the next slide. Um, so this is an example of nutrition incentives at Wright's Market. So Jimmy Wright is a single store operator in Opelika, Alabama, which is just down the road from Auburn University. He's actually a consultant on our project and is a big advocate for nutrition incentives and all of the food access work that we're doing. And he has deep roots in his community. So the store was founded in 1956 by his family, and it has really been a local fixture for decades. And he's really committed to providing fresh produce, quality of meats, and varieties of grocery items, while also maintaining just a friendly small town atmosphere. Um, he's really adapted to the changing times, and the core values of the store of service and community engagement really are key to his operation. The store has a very high SNAP population with over 40% of customers utilizing SNAP benefits. So Jimmy's always looking for programs that can help stretch their dollars and make sure their store is more welcoming to their customers. So in 2018, they partnered with Auburn University, which is the grantee organization, to offer a double up food buck program in their store. And they saw a pretty significant jump in produce sales, 10 to 12%. And this is just a glowing example of how the program fills such a vital role in supporting local access to healthy food and just boosting the store's bottom line. So it's a win-win-win across the board. I'm going to touch briefly on produce prescriptions. Food as medicine, the concept of food as medicine is growing and is a very important cause. So produce prescription programs are funded through GusNIP, very similar to the nutrition incentives. And these are focused on diet-related health conditions among low-income patients. So healthcare providers or community health partners issue the prescriptions, vouchers, coupons, or cards to eligible patients. These can be SNAP participants or SNAP eligible individuals. And then participants use these prescriptions at the participating grocery store, very similar to the nutrition incentive program. Um,
Oh,
yeah, that's it. So I'll just wrap us up just with some key steps for implementing a nutrition incentive program. So number one, choosing a redemption method. identifying the POS compatible redemption option, whether it's an automatic discount, a loyalty card, or coupons, and making sure that that integrates smoothly with a POS system and meets the needs of the customers, the grantee organization, and then your tech provider ultimately. And then training store personnel is really important. So ensuring that staff understand how to process incentive transactions, explaining the program to customers, and then answering any questions that pop up empathetically is really important. And staff should also always know how to prepare and submit the required redemption reports to the grantee organization. And then we have engaging the community, which is really important, promoting the program through outreach events and marketing with marketing materials is really important for the success of it. And grantee organizations could even set up in store or at the farmers market to provide those promotional resources. And then maintaining communication. So after launch, the program does largely run on its own, but brief check-ins between the grocer and the grantee help address issues and make improvements and ultimately boost those redemption rates. So now I'm going to pass it back to Sarah so we can hop into HFFI. We just wanted to include the nutrition incentive background just because it's a very exciting program and one we want people to take advantage of. But we'll get into the nitty-gritty of HFFI now.
Mhm. Yeah, so HFFI, or also known as the Healthy Food Financing Initiative, is a national program that's run by the Reinvestment Fund with support from the USDA. So we're specifically going to be talking about one aspect of HFFI, which we directly support, which is called the Fair Fund. And this is a bucket of money set aside to help food retailers with any projects that they're working on that will increase access to healthy and fresh food. And the Fair Fund supports these projects by providing loans, grants, and technical assistance. So in order to qualify for these projects, some of the main eligibility requirements are first, your project needs to increase the availability of an assortment of staple and perishable foods. So retail sites that only offer produce wouldn't be eligible. You would need to offer produce as well as maybe protein, dairy, grains, just offering a wide assortment of food. You also need to have your retail site operate in an underserved area. And this is something that I'll circle back to later on, and we'll provide a link where you can check your retail site. But HFFI has basically built out a website where you can enter your address and it'll tell you if you're in an underserved area or not. And finally, your project must create, expand, or maintain food retail. So the Fair Fund doesn't support charitable food distribution. It really only supports food that is being distributed through sales. And the retail site also must accept SNAP. And next slide, please. So as I mentioned, within the Fair Fund, there are 3 different buckets of funding that you can apply to: technical assistance, grants, and loans. And these 3 separate buckets are really just meant to cover whatever stage of project development that you're at. So if you're still in the planning or the organizational stage of your project, you can apply for technical assistance. This funding is specifically reserved for early stage work. So if you're looking to conduct feasibility studies or business planning, or just to increase your community outreach and engagement, let people know about your project, you can apply for this funding. And with technical assistance, you can apply for up to $100,000. If, however, your project is fully planned out, it's shovel ready, you're just looking to get a little bit of extra funding to get it off the ground, you can apply for implementation grants. This money is often used for costs such as building renovations, equipment purchases, the setting up of a new store, and you can apply for funding from $20,000 to $250,000. The one thing we did just want to note with grant funding, because we're partnering with Farmers Truck, and I'm sure many people on this call maybe utilize mobile markets or it's the primary center of their business. One note is for grant funding, it can't be used for the purchase of an actual vehicle. This funding can be used to, if you're looking to maybe upgrade your refrigeration system in your vehicle or provide other improvements or small changes within the vehicle, this funding can be used, but for the actual purchase of the vehicle itself, that would be ineligible. And as we mentioned, we do have coffee on here, so if you have any questions about the specifics of vehicle-related funding, definitely add that in the chat and we can get back to it later because we don't want anyone to feel confused or unsure about funding at the end of the presentation. Finally, if you have a larger scale project, you can apply for a loan. These range from $500,000 to $5 million, and this money can cover anything from property acquisition to construction or working capital. The one note is you will need to contribute at least 10% equity for these loans. And as you can see on the screen, there are many different types of applicants who are eligible for this funding, whether you're a nonprofit, a retailer, governments, educational institutions. The one note is that, again, just for the project itself to be eligible, it will have to be based in food retail, not distribution. So nonprofits are absolutely eligible to apply for this funding. The food will just have to be sold and not distributed. And as I mentioned earlier, in regards to eligible locations, the retail site from which you're selling the food does have to be in an underserved area. We have the link here on the screen. Can also put it in the chat if anyone's interested, but it'll just take you to the HFFI website where you can put in your address and it'll tell you if you are in an underserved area or not. If for some reason you enter your address and it tells you that you aren't eligible, but you really do believe that you're conducting retail in an area that is food insecure or people would really benefit from it, you can still submit an application and provide supplemental reasoning as to why you believe you are in an underserved area. And there's still a chance that you'll be accepted, but I would definitely recommend starting with this link as this is the best place to go to see if you're conducting retail in an eligible area. And then next slide, thank you. So if you heard about this funding and you think, oh, I'm really interested in applying, we just wanted to give some tips on how you can strengthen your application. So to start, we would recommend by just reading through the RFA very closely. This is going to be found on HFFI's website. Specifically, we recommend reading through pages 13 and 14 as it goes through specifics of eligible and non-eligible usage of funding. We also would recommend that when you're submitting your application, there's two different parts. The first will be you submit an LOI or letter of intent, and then if your LOI is reviewed, it's deemed to be eligible, you could be invited to submit a full application. But throughout both your LOI and application, we recommend that you keep it very clear and focused on exactly how you're planning to increase access to food through your project. Specifically, if it's possible to give the specific list of all the food that you'll be offering. As I mentioned, one of the requirements is offering both staple and perishable foods. And if you're able to just provide a full list of foods that you offer, this is one of the easiest ways for a reviewer to just read through and check that box. We also recommend that this isn't on the list, but one thing also is when you're submitting the LOI that you're double checking that you're submitting accurate documents. When you're submitting your LOI, you'll be required to submit 3 different documents. One will confirm your EIN number, and you'll have to submit the official IRS confirmation letter. The second will be to confirm your SAM identification number. So you'll have to register for a SAM.gov account if you don't already have one, and then submit the official document that they provide you with. And then finally, you'll have to submit a document that shows legal confirmation of your entity. This could be an articles of incorporation, articles of organization, or a similar document. Our final piece of advice is once you submit your LOI to continue to monitor your email inbox, because one thing that HFFI does is when reviewing LOIs, there's a team of people, including some people from NGA, who are reviewing LOIs, and if there's a part or piece of information that's missing from your application or maybe something that's a bit unclear, someone from HFFI might reach out to you and ask you to clarify something from your application. And this is just why it's really important to keep monitoring your inbox, because an application that may otherwise have been ineligible could become eligible if we're able to communicate with you and figure out the missing piece of information or just get that clarification from you on something that was a bit unclear.
Okay.
Yes, spam junk as well. And also feel free, if you haven't heard anything, you can feel free to reach out to NGA if we were helping you through the process, and we can try to do some check-ins for you as well. But finally, just wanted to touch on our role specifically as a technical assistance provider with HFFI. So as a technical assistance provider, we're really here to help guide you throughout the application process. So if you're considering submitting an application and you just want some guidance on if it's eligible or not, or how to strengthen your application, feel free to reach out to us. We're here to provide guidance on eligibility, on project design, application strategy, and we also specifically offer technical assistance in all of the areas listed on the screen. So while we'll provide support to anyone who's interested, specifically if your project is going to incorporate any of these elements, we can provide specialized assistance.
Okay, and this is my bit. So Farmers Truck, it's new this year that we are a technical assistance provider for this particular fund. Now, our approach to this is really to look at holistically where are the gaps with mobile market programs. It's not mobile markets are not a new thing, but how to operate it and offer services that increases fresh food access in underserved communities and doing all these different types of incentives. So we're thinking, this is part of what we offer. If there's anything on there that's not very specific, please reach out and we'll see how we can support you. So program and operational support is pretty straightforward, but really it's to help you figure out, to launch your program. We can do needs assessment, route planning. We can do basically help you with setting up your systems, the things that make sure you have the right operations in place. We can help you figure out how to build a board and find some funders to engage and work with for your sponsorships. We can help definitely join our webinars. We do that monthly, different types of topics. Sometimes it's sponsorship, sometimes it's the National Grocers Association Foundations. We do one-on-one technical assistance. So this is basically type of coaching that we offer. We can do financial modeling, some planning around that. Definitely funding support. So if you're looking for other types of fund or, basically build up your project financing, we can help with that, finding these opportunities. And we do send every month. So join our newsletter, but we do send every month some great opportunities that are aligned with that type of work. And we offer some training. So we do have a free mobile market university. You can go on our website or community.farmerstruck.com to find the information. And we do have some marketing services if you're looking to even build your brand for your mobile market program, the messaging, the templates, and everything in between. And that's pretty much it for our session. And so it was pretty quick. I think we did it through, about 35 minutes. So we're about 20 minutes ahead of time. So we'll have time to do some Q&A. Basil, are you there, my friend?
I am here, and I will be throwing some questions your way. I think, given the topic, there's a lot of information here, and the bulk of this webinar is going to be mostly Q&A. I think a lot of people we already have.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
Basil, I do want to invite Brielle and Coffee to the call if they are still there, and if they want to join us for that session. But please keep going.
Awesome. Gabby, thank you. I see some answers. Some questions have been answered. They're just easier to type out, but I'll go through some of the ones that have not been answered yet, and then I'll try to guess best who to direct the question to. Question from William Burns. Any status on the announcements of HFFI approved application caught up in the government shutdown? I think maybe we'll throw that to Coffee.
Yes, we are so elated that the shutdown is over, which means we are now able to resume announcements and reviewing for the final rounds. So that is in progress. Excited to say that we did receive approval for our second round of awardees. So we will be making those announcements in the coming weeks. And then because of the shutdown lifting, we're also able to get started on the review process for round 3. So if you're waiting on those for implementation grants, just stay close to email. We'll be sending out some announcements soon.
Awesome. Thank you. Michelle asks, can organization staff time spent receiving TA and working with TA provider be included in the budget for the grant? So I believe she's talking about labor hours, if that can be covered within the budget. Coffee,
Or
perhaps that's
HFFI.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's typically how the TA is set up. So if you're applying for technical assistance, you have to be the organization that is receiving it. Typically what happens is there's 2 ways to receive the TA grant. So it could be a direct grant to you that you would then manage. So if there's personnel that you need to include for folks who are getting trained up, that's totally okay. And then obviously you're paying the contractual fees for whoever the contractor is. And then the other option for receiving TA is for essentially maybe you have a really specific project that's happening and you just want to do the contractual piece and not have to like deal with any of the paperwork. We can contract directly with that provider. And then that way it kind of just does, we kind of just do an SOW or a scope of work, sorry, with that contractor, and we'll handle it from there. And then you agree on that scope of work together, but you don't have to do any of the legalese part of it with that. So it could be a direct grant, and then you can include things like personnel, the contractual and direct costs, things like that. Or you can choose to do a direct contract with the provider through us.
Thank you, Coffee. I think a lot of the questions might come your way here. So
Yeah, no problem.
we
That's why I'm
appreciate
here.
you being here. We have a question from Crystal. And I think, Fred, you can also touch on this a bit too. So can we apply for the grant to purchase a farmer's truck to expand our reach in low-income customers in underserved areas? Our retail site will be the actual farmer's truck as a mobile market. So before I throw that question to you, I believe we mentioned earlier that from the grant, the truck purchases are not fully covered. I'm not entirely sure about the loan, so I'll throw that to you, Fred, and then maybe Coffee after.
Yeah, so as Sarah was mentioning throughout the bits, if you already have a vehicle that is being used to do some of that activity, then I believe some of the upgrades to that vehicle might be covered under that grant. But otherwise, I think the loan is the direction that we're proposing to people to apply, and it's 10% equity upfront to get the loan, I believe. Cuff.
Yeah, and I'll expand on that just a little bit. So correct, vehicle purchases are unfortunately not eligible under the HFFI implementation grants. Part of it has to do with the fact that you have to file an NFI or a notice of federal interest on that, and it's kind of a tricky situation. So we're trying to minimize that for grantees. But the loan, I would say, is an option. However, typically a loan vehicle or a loan for the vehicle wouldn't be its own loan. It would probably be part of a larger loan package. So if you've got construction costs that you're building in there or any type of maybe a permanent loan, if there's something else kind of coming into it, then that would be an option. Because just remember, loan amounts are typically $500,000 at the minimum, up to $5 million. So a truck may not be $500,000, but if there's some other things built in there, we can definitely talk. And then if you don't meet the minimum thresholds, we can also have you chat with our lending department because they're also happy to do referrals too.
Coffee,
But retrofitting of a vehicle, any type of upgrades that you might need to do, those are all eligible.
And Coffee, was there, and maybe I misunderstood that, but there is some flexibility on the loan amount if you need a little bit less, or is the 500 kind of the non-negotiable?
500 is kind of the minimum, but
Okay.
definitely conversations can still happen. And if they can, we obviously have a ton of partners in the field as well. So we're happy to do referrals if it's just not the right fit for a reinvestment fund. I'll just say like reinvestment fund typically focuses on like facility. So that's just like one of the reasons why there's that minimum there. And then another point around the equity piece. It doesn't have to just be your personal equity. It can also be other grants or other financing that you may have in the mix. So as long as you're kind of showing that you're bringing something to the table, then that helps your overall application.
And before we move on to, we're getting a lot of questions here. Before we move on to the next question here, I just want to finally touch base on the grant aspect. So if an organization, for example, are able to fundraise or purchase their own truck and maybe, they hire the farmer's truck to retrofit it or design it from within to become a mobile market, that's eligible within the grant.
That would be eligible, correct?
Okay. Yep. Awesome. All right, moving on to the next question. Joseph asks, could TA be used for marketing?
Yes, sorry. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Community engagement, marketing pieces, totally eligible. We get that those are really important parts of pre-development. So absolutely eligible under both the technical assistance application as well as an implementation grant.
Awesome. Uh, Next up, by Anonymous, what other funding opportunities do you know of that can be used to purchase the vehicle? I think I can just answer that separately. A question from Hester. Would farmers market operators be able to
Actually,
take...
s-
Oh, go
sorry,
ahead.
Basil. I do want to have a call to action for people who, if there's any question here that you're not very sure that related to mobile market specifically, please do book a call with us. There's a QR code right there. Just, that's directly to our scheduling link. So we'll be able to look for other great opportunities for you, kind of support you through that. If you want to launch a mobile market, we're here to help.
And I work pretty hard on that newsletter trying to find some grants for everyone. So get on that.
You do a great
Um,
job, Basil.
Thank you. All right. A question from Hester. GusNIP RFAs weren't released in 2025. Do you have any information about the possibility that the RFA will be released in 2026? Maybe I'll throw that to you, Gabby.
Yeah, I'll try my best to answer, and unfortunately, I don't have a ton of information, but you're correct. They didn't go out in 2025. And they usually go out in the spring, but Bria, you came off mute, so I don't know if you have more context to
Yeah.
share.
Nope, I was gonna share the same thing. Yeah, because of the administration and different contractual things, it wasn't released this year, but next year, if I had to predict, this is just a prediction, don't hold me to it. I think the process will be pretty similar to how it was in 2024. So look for some announcements in early spring. So there should be updates around like April.
Awesome. Thank you. And then a question from Melissa. Do food pantries have a place within the NGA as a food distributors lacking the retail aspect?
Oh, maybe Gabby.
Yeah, sorry, Gabby. I should have mentioned.
No worries. I'm trying to understand exactly what the question is, because we typically work with retailers, and retail is the end goal with NGA. But if I know food pantries are coming up with different models and trying to ensure dignity in a lot of different ways. So there might be a retail component of a food pantry that, we're happy to talk more about what that could look like in NGA membership. But
I,
that's,
I,
yeah.
out loud, I can think that if you are thinking of doing a choice model, the type of grocery store like you would see in some more progressive food banks, um, they could use some help potentially to set up the environment so that it feels like a regular shopping experience and how you display things and maybe, the flow and things like that. There might be some really gold nuggets there that the association can support, I would assume.
Yeah, that actually, thanks for kind of sharing how we could help. We could definitely help in that space. We have a few subject matter experts who have helped other projects set up that type of infrastructure. So we can definitely help with that. And I'm thinking of Jimmy, and there's a store in Atlanta that has a similar setup to what you just mentioned. So we can make that connection.
Awesome. Thank you. Hester has just a follow-up here. Can you answer the question about whether or not farmers market operators can apply for HFFI funding? Coffee, maybe that's you.
Yeah. Yes, they can. The main thing to know about farmers markets is that they do need to have the assortment of staple and perishable foods. So it can't just be produce. Obviously, I'm sure we all are familiar here that farmers markets have an abundance of items. So just be sure to explain or describe those items that you have being sold at the market. And then just remember that the market or vendors within the market need to be able to accept SNAP and that the market is also located in an eligible HFI area. So serving lower income communities and are considered to be considered to have low supermarket access.
Awesome. Another question from Crystal here. Are any of those programs using SNAP or GovSNAP available for a for-profit business to participate in in to help individuals on SNAP? So I think the question is, do for-profits fall within eligibility if they offer those other
Yeah,
programs, SNAP and GovSNAP?
like the example that Gabby you were giving of the store, right? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, SNAP is a prerequisite for both of these programs. So if a for-profit business is operating, accepting SNAP is needed to participate in the program. But yeah, we really rely on these for-profit businesses to make sure that these programs can exist.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I would say that the
Go ahead.
majority of folks who apply to HFFI are for-profit businesses.
All right. Question for Portia. What type fundraiser you think is best to increase food access? Uh, Maybe I'll throw that to you, Fred.
So can you repeat the question?
Yeah, sure. I'm just reading it how it was typed. I'm guessing, yeah. What type of fundraiser you think is best to increase food access? It's a pretty general question. Portia, if you're still on the call, maybe you can give us something a bit more specific.
I mean, as far as fundraising for an organization trying to do this type of effort, there are all kinds of ways. It's sometimes it's using the wrong grant for the right reason. So sometimes you can look at a grant that's the ultimate goal is to increase fresh food access, but how they talk about it and how they want to empower you to do it is not necessarily what you had in mind. So maybe you can be flexible on how you deliver your program, on how you make it sustainable, and the type of items you carry. And that's going to open up your opportunities to more funding. And so somebody that is a professional fundraiser that would understand your space very well would have that strategy. And it'd be like water, just basically, like Bruce Lee would say, become the teapot.
Awesome. Hester is asking again, would farmers market operators be able to take advantage of HFFI funding? I'll let you expand on this, Fred, but we do know of mobile market operators that have applied to HFFI funding. Fred, do you want to expand on that?
Yes, so it was we're currently getting the first TA request, so we're kind of trying to figure out how to best deliver this and what else we need to put in place to support these programs. And I don't know what was the rest of the question, Basil. Sorry.
Um, would farmer market operators be eligible to just apply to HFI funding? I mean, as we mentioned earlier, I believe you are able to apply for it in the grant form. You are able to apply for modifications or anything to help build up your program other than the vehicle itself. For technical assistance, obviously, you can apply for that for help planning your mobile market, expanding it. A bunch of other services that ourselves are able to help in that sense. And then from the loans perspective, if you are looking to purchase a vehicle and launch an entire program or expand one, the loan is also open for market operators. Yeah.
It could be you're like, hey, I want a a shipping container farm with a farmer's truck with some refrigerated displays to put and do like these distribution. Like there's all kinds of ways you can increase fresh food access, but you got to think about your model and the 500K, if that makes sense for you at that time as a loan. So and more, right? So it goes up to 5 million, which is awesome.
Awesome. And yeah, if you guys can submit, try to get a bit more specific with questions here. I mean, we have a question from Keng here. Do you guys help food hubs? Um, I don't know. I'll throw that maybe to Gabby.
Yeah, with HFFI, we've definitely seen food hubs applying for that funding. You just want to keep in mind that the retailers that you're supporting through your food hub are located in HFFI eligible underserved areas so that the food is reaching those underserved communities. And I'll drop in the chat just so everyone has it, the mapping tool to determine that eligibility.
Gabby, real quick,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, Coffee. The question for my question is the data that you're using for the underserved community, is it the USDA food desert map? Is that what the data comes from?
Yeah, it's a mixture of things. And the one slightly irritating thing about any data that we have right now is that it is using USDA low income, low access data, which is from like 2019. And seems like it's a little bit low on the totem pole for them right now to get that data updated. So it does use a mix of that plus our limited supermarket access data to make those determinations. And again, like Gabby and Sarah mentioned, if you fall into the ineligible areas, I mean, there's a lot of areas that are eligible, so don't worry. But if you do fall into the ineligible or likely ineligible areas, you are able to submit supplemental documentation to us, and we will take that into consideration. We want to always see folks be eligible, but if the location is skewing higher income or isn't pulling up as having limited supermarket access, that will be the reason that you're seeing yourself pop up in that likely ineligible area.
I do have a follow-up with that, Coffee. Is your city or your county the best kind of place to reach out to understand the current situation with your community and where are the gaps?
Yeah, absolutely. Typically, it's other local or philanthropic communities that will have additional research that's maybe happening or data points that you can pull from, like if there's a community food assessment that has happened, or if there's like another foundation who is using some sort of data system, like you can pull on any of those to kind of help support the decision making and submit that to us, and we'll take a look at it.
Awesome. Next question here, Crystal, can I set up a specific call with someone to further discuss requirements of HFFI? I'm gonna reply to you here in the chat with Gabby's information that she already provided on there. And if you wanted to talk to us something specific more towards our side, please scan the QR code and that will take you to a meeting scheduler right away. We're just wrapping up here. Coffee, I see you're replying to Joseph there. One more question here. What other funding opportunities do you know of that can be used to purchase a vehicle? Again, I will reach back out and I'll include that in the follow-up email. But I highly encourage anyone who is interested in more grant opportunities for mobile markets. I mean, this is essentially what we do. We look for grants for people to be able to buy mobile market trucks and launch their programs. So reach out to us on our website, anywhere. There's a bunch of access points to reach us. Crystal, thank you. And then I believe this is the last question here. If you have received TA in the past from HFFI, can you apply for more technical assistance? Coffee.
Yeah, so that's a great question. You are able to reapply for HFFI funding. It's just that it needs to be for a different project or different project use. So for instance, if you've applied in the past and you received, I'm kind of using it outside of TA, it's relevant to both, but say you like purchased specific equipment, you would have to then purchase different equipment for that next project. So it's a different project because HFFI is set up to be a one-time infusion of capital. And so obviously want to spread the wealth and make sure that projects, because this is a national, highly competitive program. So want to make sure that we are funding different uses of funds if you are planning to reapply. And same goes for anything that would be under TA too.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I think that wraps up the question. Coffee, I see you're in the process of replying to Joseph there. If anyone has
Yes.
any other questions, feel free to email us. You will all get a follow-up email 24 hours from now. So tomorrow at noon, you will get you'll get a follow-up email whether you attended or if you were absent. I don't know if any of your colleagues weren't able to make it or anything. You will get a link for this recorded webinar as well as a copy of the deck that we went through today. And then my email there, if you have any specific questions, I can direct you, to the right person to speak to about any inquiries. Other than that, I'll let Fred wrap it up here, but thank you everyone for joining us. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Basil. Well, I want to say a big thank you to the National Grocers Association Foundation to join us to talk about this. Definitely coffee with the reinvestment fund. These are a lot of details that people were asking, so I'm glad we were able to get through all that. And Brielle also to join us to chime in when we have some deeper questions. Looking forward to the next webinar, and let's get some money out there to increase fresh food access. So that's why we're all here. So. Awesome. Everybody have a great day, and we'll see you at the next webinar.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Happy
Take care.
holidays.
Yeah.
Bye.